23 chilling photos taken by history's most depraved serial killers, before and after they killed their victims. Rodney Alcala. In 1979, investigators found hundreds of photos of women in a storage unit that serial killer Rodney Alcala rented in Seattle. They released some of them in 2010 in hopes of identifying the women, some of whom may be additional unknown victims. One of the hundreds of women photographed by Rodney Alcala. Investigators also found other trophies in his storage unit, like jewelry. Christine Thornton, who disappeared in 1977, was identified by one of her relatives in 2013 among a batch of photographs taken by Alcala. This photograph of Thornton was taken just a short distance from where her remains were discovered in 1982. Robert Ben Rhodes. This haunting photo of 14-year-old Regina K. Walters was taken by her murderer, serial killer Robert Ben Rhodes, shortly before he killed her in 1990. After picking up Walters and her boyfriend, Ricky Jones, as hitchhikers in February 1990, Rhodes killed Jones and kept Walters hostage and tortured for weeks. Pamela Milliken also crossed paths with Rhodes in 1985. But although she accepted a ride in his truck, they had a consensual sexual encounter and she went on her way. Police later posted her photo on Facebook in hopes of identifying her. Milliken told them that Rhodes had taken her picture as soon as she stepped into his truck, and claimed it was in case she robbed him. Harvey Glattman, the so-called glamour girl slayer, killed between 3 and 4 women. Glattman also took photos of his victims before he killed them, like this one of Judy Dull. Glattman had promised Dull, a model, that he would put her on the cover of a pulp novel. She was his first victim, but not his last. Glattman met his victim Shirley Ann Bridgeford, pictured here, through a personal ad. He promised to take her to a dance, but instead brought her to the California desert where he tied her up, raped her, and killed her. Model Ruth Mercado, shortly before Glattman killed her. Jerry Brideau's. This is believed to be the last photo of 18-year-old Karen Sprinkler, who was abducted and murdered by serial killer Jerry Brideau's, known as the Shoe Fetish Slayer, in 1969. Dennis Rader. Dennis Rader was known as the BTK Killer because of his method of binding, torturing, and killing his victims. Afterward, he would don his victims' clothing, tie himself up, and take photos, like the one he took here. Rader would bind himself in various poses, like this one. In this disturbing photo, Rader buried himself alive. Samuel Little. Serial killer Samuel Little didn't photograph his victims, but he did draw many of them, which has helped investigators identify them. This illustration is described as drawing of black female victim Mary Ann. Little says he killed and in Miami, Florida, in either 1971 or 1972. This Samuel Little portrait is described as drawing of a black female victim. Little says he killed her in Atlanta, Georgia, in 1981. William Bradford. Like Rodney Alcala and Harvey Glattman, serial killer William Bradford often lured his victims to their deaths by telling them that he was a professional photographer who wanted to take their picture. This is a picture of bartender Sherry Miller taken by Bradford shortly before he killed her at a campsite north of Los Angeles in 1984.